What's up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome back to the channel. So winter is here, honey. Winter is here and the wild hyenas are running loose, baby. Listen, so winter is here. You know, we're to that point in time where women start to realize the errors of their ways, where they start to really acknowledge in their own minds that they've made a mistake. And once again, I'm speaking to a lot of the women who think this way, not all women. But for the women who have been out here for months and months and months, speaking about them not needing a man and they can do all bad all by themselves, and they get into the bag and the men ain't ish and they're trash and all the other negative things that they speak about black men. We finally come around every year to this time where women start to realize that they're alone and they're lonely, and now it's time to find them a cuddle buddy. This is when women start to realize that they actually want a man and may even possibly need a man, but it's something that they will not accept, will not speak out of their mouths because, oh my God, they can't say that out loud because the Bonnet Crew sisterhood community is going to push back on them actually stating that they want a man and might need one. So winter is here. This is when women start to go through that emotional roller coaster when families are gathering together around the holiday seasons that we are approaching, where the husbands and the wives, the girlfriends and the boyfriends and the family members all start coming together and start, having a good time as a family. This is where the leftover single Bonnet Crew community start to have issues. They start breaking down. They start having these emotional rants. We see them posted all over social media where they start to feel left out. They start to feel some kind of way because they don't have that. This is when they start wishing they had a man and they had somebody to cuddle up with, and they had family to commence with. They had a man there and a family and all the traditions that families come together for. When you don't have that, that's when you start looking around feeling some kind of way. But I'm gonna need for you to keep that same energy. Hey, you don't need a man, you boss chick. This is where all your girlfriends start isolating themselves. They start trying to find somebody to get with to have some, semblance of a relationship and a family unit. This is where the mental capacity starts to break down. And I'm not saying this just because I just want to say it. I've literally seen this happen. This is the time of year when women start to have these emotional breakdowns. And it's unfortunate. And I don't think that women should have to go through that, because if you choose better, you won't have to go through that. You could have a family. You could have a man by your side. You could have the whole nine. And you could build something with the person if women only looked at it the way that it should be. And so when we start getting around this time of the year, you start seeing people saying, they need to find, they try to go hook up with anybody to have something to make them feel okay, like they're not just out here by themselves. Because ultimately, and I'll say this again, ultimately, it's not meant for us to be separate. I do think that we're put here to be together. Men and women. I don't think it's natural for women to be by themselves. And they prove it over and over and again. Even if you are in a relationship and the relationship doesn't work and it breaks up, these women still tend to find some man to cuddle up with, some man to give them some type of emotional attention. They still have some type of emotional attachment to some man, even if it's not their own. And so this is why I say, listen, I think women minimize how important men are. Women minimize what men bring to the table because they want to feel and believe that they don't need them, and they've been taught that for so long, and they've been told, hey, you can do bad all by yourself, and a lot of them are, but they're not happy about it. You doing bad by yourself doesn't make it even make it better. It just means that you're suffering alone. At least if you have somebody with you, at least y'all can figure it out. Y'all can go through the hard times and figure it out together and come out on top. But a lot of our modern women have not been taught that way. They have not been taught that they should work with a man. A lot of black women in our communities were taught they don't need a man. Get your education. You can do this all by yourself, and it's really not meant for you to do that. And I know, sometimes I get pushback because women don't want to accept the fact of how important men are. And I'm not saying any man, there are a lot of good men out here, but women refuse to look at the men for who they are because they're looking for status symbols. They're looking for rich men. They're looking for men who can financially take care of everything. And they're looking over a group of men who would be family men, who would be husband material, men who would be great fathers, but they're not looking at the things that are important. So every year around winter time, they go through these mental breakdowns because they realize they're getting older and older and they have nobody to share their life with, because guess what? Your girlfriend's going to taper off. They're looking for a man quietly too. And eventually one gets married or gets engaged or gets involved, and then that's one less friend you have to depend on. Eventually you can't continuously depend on your girlfriend group the bonnet crew, because it's not a guarantee that they're going to be there for you for the rest of your single life. So this is why I always tell women, listen, prioritize family and all of that early on if that's what you really want. And you got to have a mental space to understand if that's what you really want or not, which most women do. But they've been so indoctrinated into this idea of having this independent boss chick lifestyle. And then when you get that, it's still not fully what you want. You're still complaining because you want more. And I always say, hey, you can have it all, not all at one time. If you prioritize the things that you want the most, and the most detrimental to me would be family, husband, and kids, because once you have that established, you have it. It's not going anywhere. And you can always pursue a career and all of those things while you have your husband and your family, just like every other group of people have been able to do for years and still doing it. But for some reason in the Black community, they have a hard time building a family and having careers. I know doctors, lawyers who are married. They were married in college. And then they pursued their careers and now they're thriving and they have a family and they're living their lives. I don't understand. I've said this several times. It's very mind-boggling to me that you can't prioritize family and career if that's what you want. If that's the agreement within your relationship, I don't see why that's such a hard thing to establish when it comes to Black women. It's almost like they're saying one or the other, and you go after that career first, and then when you're ready for a family, it's difficult for you to attain because you wasted the time period for that. I like to say again, I am an example of that. We started our family young. And, the careers and stuff did it along the way. I have a bachelor's degree. I don't tout that because it's not the most important. And honestly, if I could go back, I wouldn't have even done it, but it was something that I had to do. Once again, being raised by a single mother, being raised in that community of women who tell you, hey, you're nothing special unless you have a degree. And I'm not knocking it, because if you need to do that in order to provide for yourself, I get it. But what I'm saying is there's a way to go about this that everyone else have been able to do, except for when it comes to the Black community. It's a big issue. It's a problem. It's like, oh, I focus on my career. I don't want a man. And then when you get 30s, 40s, now you want one, and you're finding it difficult to get and attract the type of man that you actually would want. And I think this stems from women not wanting to settle. They don't want to settle when they're young. They think they could get more, and they don't want to settle when they're older because they think they could get more. But what you end up doing is settling anyway, settling to be by yourself because what you want either doesn't exist or they don't want you. What you want gotta want you. And you waste a whole lot of time thinking that you could do way better than what you actually get, not realizing that you grow as the years go on. Things doesn't get worse, it gets better. You build and you grow. You still do the same thing that you do by yourself when you have a spouse. So I just think, once again, women have been lied to and have been sold a bunch of lies, and it set them up for the okie doke. And this is why we have winter. When winter is here, a lot of these women have mental breakdowns. Around the holidays, when you're supposed to be festive and having a good time with your family and enjoying the hard work that you've put in, the time that you put in to build a life for yourself and your family, this is where you get to enjoy it. You get to enjoy family, good food, and look around and see what you've accomplished by looking at your kids, looking at your husbands or your wives and your family members, and you enjoy the things that you built, and you have someone to share it with. These are some of my favorite times of the year. I love the holiday times. I love Thanksgiving and Christmas. I love it because I get to cook. My children cook with me. They help out, and we all do it together. I remember when they were little, it would just be me in a kitchen, and my husband would be, go get all the things that we need, and I'm cooking. But now they're old enough to help, and we all share an experience, and they love it. They love it. And now they've become accustomed to this tradition, and they love it. They love the food. They love to be able to sit around, watch movies, and even though we're chilling, they love that because this is an experience that they're going to have as they get older, and they're going to want to replicate it. They're going to want to do the same thing. And this is what it's all about at the end of the day. No matter what you go through, no matter how much money you make, no matter how successful you are, family is the most important. That's one thing I've learned. No matter where you are financially, as long as you have your family intact and your family is healthy and you can provide for them and they're good, that is the only thing that really matters. And unfortunately, people don't recognize that or realize it until either they don't have it, they've missed out on it, or when they're about to die. And I'm saying you don't have to get to a place to where you're about to die to realize that. You should realize it early on, that at the end of the day, your family is what's most important. You would give up all the money to save your family member. So your child, your husband, your wife. This is why I always push back against people who always focus on money. And that's where we are in this society. Everything is focused on money. Get into the bag as if nothing else exists. And the older you get with that mentality, this is why when winter is coming, these women have nervous breakdowns. When they see other people gathering together and getting ready to celebrate family and you don't have, this is where the mental breakdowns come. And just look out for it, because every year it never fails. There are videos of women posting how they become depressed around this time of the year because they realize it's just them. You have no kids, you have no husband, you have no spouse, you have nobody to really celebrate with. You kind of feel lonely around that time. And it's a common thing. I've seen it before. And my thing is this, if that is not what you want, if you want something more, work towards it and work towards yourself in a way that you think so that you can attract the person that you want and you can build a life with that person. And stop thinking that it's all about money and it's all about the superficial things, because it is not. It's really not, y'all. And I really want people, especially women who think that it's all about the money and all this. No, it's not. It's about way more than that. And I think once women understand that and get to a point where they realize what's really important, they'll start picking better men and they'll be able to get married. They'll start establishing relationships and building with that person, and you'll see your life will flourish a lot better. Being out here by your lonesome, by yourself, yeah, you may be able to travel and go here and there, but at some point, you get tired of doing things by yourself. Always you. When those girlfriends can't be there, it's just you. At some point, it becomes lame, in my opinion, unless you are really one of those people who just love being by yourself and you've always been like that and you really enjoy. Yeah, because there's some people, I think it's a rare occasion, but there's some people who just go like traveling solo and do their thing. That's a different type of person. They enjoy their own company. They ain't worried about nobody else, because there are people like that. But what I'm saying is there are a lot of women who are claiming that that's what they like, when in actuality, they would love nothing more to have a loving spouse and a family, that support system. Because I'm telling you, life is, they don't realize the importance of it, but they know they want it. But because they can't get it, they're trying to cope with where they are. And a lot of times they're not happy like that. And around this time of the year is when you start to see the breakdowns. So that's just my 2 cents. I want to know your thoughts on it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share and like this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you have to say, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.